Hi, freelance friends. Welcome back to the podcast. In another episode of Let's Talk Tech, today I want to talk to you about a tool that's become really important in my freelance work, Camtasia. Now, I am not a video editing expert, and I wouldn't even call myself ultra creative when it comes to visuals or design. And I never seek out projects that require heavy visual design because it's just not where I personally shine. Other people are much more expert in those sorts of things than I am. But as a freelancer who creates learning materials for various companies, I do often need to create instructional videos. And out of necessity, I've had to figure out how to make those videos look professional, even without a strong creativity background. For me, Camtasia's made all of the difference. I've tried some other video editing tools in the past, and I never had the luck that I've had with Camtasia. Camtasia, in my opinion, makes it doable and not so frustrating. So when I started freelancing, I knew that I'd need to deliver videos as part of my learning design projects. Clients wanted training modules, screen recordings, and short explainer videos. And I'll be honest, I was a little intimidated. I knew that I knew how to teach. I knew that I knew how to create a good, solid training. But video editing always felt like something more for creative people, not someone like me who thrives more in the curriculum design, the facilitation, and the strategy behind developing courses. And sure, I could have outsourced video editing, but as a freelancer, that's not always practical. Budgets can be tight, timelines can be short, and sometimes clients expect you to handle it, and sometimes you prefer, in my case, to be the one to handle it because you want to make sure that it's done a certain way. So I ended up trying Camtasia, and what really struck me was how approachable it felt to some of the big industry tools. I had watched tutorial videos on programs like Adobe Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro, and I was overwhelmed. Now, these other programs are amazing if you're a professional video editor, but I am not. So they just felt overwhelming and way too time-consuming for me to learn. Camtasia, on the other hand, it let me jump right in. I could record my screen, I could capture my webcam, and narrate all in one place. And then with a little trimming, a few transitions, and once in a while dropping in some background music, I suddenly had a video that looked professional enough to send to a client. So, as you can guess, I use Camtasia to create these videos. If you've watched several of them, you've realized that they're not high production quality, but hopefully they do get the message across in an effective way. So to summarize, let me break down a few reasons why Camtasia has become my go-to. First, it's easy to use. I didn't need weeks of training to figure it out. Things like dragging and dropping audio and video components, cutting and trimming those video components, I found it to be very intuitive. And that really matters to me because I want to spend my time creating content, not fighting with a video editing software. I also like that it combines recording and editing in one tool. Again, as someone who makes instructional videos, I often need to demonstrate something on the screen, like walking through software or showing slides, like I often do in these videos. But Camtasia lets me record that, edit it all in one program. I don't need to bounce between several different tools. Third, I feel like Camtasia has professional touches without being overwhelming. There are things like callouts and transitions and audio cleanup that are built right in. Admittedly, I don't use all of the professional touch tools that they offer, but I do use a lot of them, and they're simple to apply and give my videos a more polished feel, which is what matters to the clients who are paying me for a simple yet professional training video. Fourth, there are templates and assets that can save you time. So, for instance, I can pull in a ready-made graphic, or I can make an arrow, or I can use royalty-free music to elevate the video without having to do it from scratch. And for someone like me who isn't a graphic designer, that is huge. I also really like that exporting is stress-free. I don't need to be an expert in different file formats. Camtasia makes it really easy for me to just export to an MP4 file and put it exactly where it belongs, or export it to YouTube and LMS, or just, that standard MP4 format that I mentioned. Now, over time, I am becoming more comfortable using Camtasia. I am not going to pretend that I am an expert user, but at least when a client needs a quick instructional video or a walkthrough of a process, I don't panic. I open Camtasia, record, edit, and deliver. And honestly, the videos must be effective enough because one of my clients primarily has me making these short tutorial videos to show people certain technology features within certain applications. And while I still don't consider myself ultra creative, I've always been able to produce videos that looked mostly professional. Even my first few ones, although they were a little rougher, I felt like they still looked mostly professional. They may not have won awards. They probably never will, but they're clean, they're clear, and they're effective. So honestly, for instructional videos, that's what matters. This knowledge also gave me the capability to create these YouTube videos. And as you can attest to, they're not fancy productions with cinematic effects, but they're functional, polished enough, and they get my message across. And for me, that's the whole point. I want my content to all of you and to all of my clients to be clear, useful, easy to follow, and not flashy for the sake of being flashy. I do often get asked why I didn't just use a program like iMovie since I'm a Mac user, or go all in and learn Adobe Premiere to make those flashier, maybe more impressive videos? Well, here's my answer. I think iMovie's fine for casual projects, but it didn't have the depth that I needed for the instructional work that I'm doing. I needed something that was a little bit more, and Camtasia met that need. And as far as a program like Premiere or Final Cut, as I mentioned, they're really powerful, but they come with a steep learning curve and a lot of features that I don't need for what I'm creating. Especially since as a freelancer, my time is my most valuable resource. I don't want to spend hours learning advanced editing workflows when my clients really just need a clear professional video that teaches their employees what they need to know. Camtasia gives me that balance. I highly recommend it if you're starting out with video editing. It's not super expensive, and in my opinion, it's professional enough without overwhelming me. So, in summary, while I don't consider myself a creative video editor, out of necessity, I've learned to produce professional instructional videos. And Camtasia has been the tool that's allowed me to do that with confidence. If you're a freelancer or an educator who needs to create learning videos or is considering starting creating videos, but you don't have a background in video editing, I'd highly recommend giving Camtasia a try. It's approachable, powerful enough to do what most of us need, and it helps you focus on the teaching part of the video, not just the editing. Thanks for listening. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you. Bye.